This video is sponsored by My Metal Cards at Etsy.com. So yes, this is a new upcoming shop which specializes in selling like a lot of metal cards, so hence the name. So it ranges and specializes in like a lot of games such as Cardfight Vanguard, MTG, and Warhammer. So in this case, if you see here for Vanguard, they have energy counters for every nation. There's also like treasure tokens for MTG. There's also like plenty other designs for Vanguard, such as like fated ones. There's also like nation ones, and also it comes with acrylic ones. It's more transparent acrylic ones, so that's pretty cool. If you want to get one of these, that's also nice. And also there's plenty of other designs which are not in this shop, but you can custom pre-order them. You can like order them customly, such as like my Chronojet black and white energy counter, which is like 0 to 10. There's also like black and white like nation cards such as like Brungate, which I have over here, and also like they have like IoT energy like energy markers, energy counters, which I have like all three, like bronze, silver, gold respectively. So that's about it. And also, if you go to this shop and have the code coupon code Enochsays, 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 you get $5 off for your first purchase of one of these metal cards as well. So Enochsays, ENOCHSAYS, for $5 off for your first purchase. And do check them out. There's plenty of designs, and you can use them to spicify your decks, make it bling, make it fancy. Do keep in mind that since these are custom-made energy markers or whatsoever, counters or whatsoever, you cannot use them in like official Bushiroad tournaments. But you can use them as a form of like collection or whatsoever. And there you go. Just pick one of these up, and hopefully you like them. I like it personally, so do give them the support. And that's about it. I'll see you in the next video.
Hello everyone, it's Professor Enoch95 back with another deck profile. So this time around, I will be showcasing a deck profile based on Silver Thorn, Dragon Empress, Venus Luquier. So she is now back in the D standard, in the D format. So all hail the Queen, bow down. Yes, she is now back. The Queen, the Empress is now back in this format, much more better than ever, which is like a huge upgrade. Fun fact, interesting side note is that like she's the only encounter boss so far since BT8 or I think like since BT8 to get a new form. So press F in the chat for Glory Maelstrom. Apparently he's not making a comeback, but only Venus Luquier is. Minerva is a question mark because technically she doesn't have an evolve form. People say that it's Brunhilde or something along those lines, but I don't understand the lore enough to connect those things. I'm stupid because I didn't join during the limit break era, yada yada and all that stuff. Glory, not Glory Maelstrom, Platina Ezel or probably Ravenhair Ezel or like Draconic Kaiser Vermilion have to wait because like they are pretty. I think they only released like during set 11. Luquier was the original Luquier was only come out in set 8, right? But then again, I digress. That's not the whole point. I'm doing talking about this. We are going to go straight into the deck profile, nonetheless. So before we get straight into the deck profile, if you are the first time watching, if you're new here, if you do enjoy the content I'm making, whether it's like unboxing or fight videos, deck profiles, whatsoever, please do hit like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. Of course, granted, if you have any questions or if you have any other comments, please put down in the comment section down below, so which is nice. I appreciate your feedback. Without further ado, let's get straight into the deck profile. Of course, we're going to start with the right line. So we have, first of all, we have Silver Thorn Assistant Ionella. So Ionella is like the generic, all the generic starters in D. So like if you went second, you get to draw one, which is when this unit is rolled upon, if you went second, draw one, so which is nice. Of course, you can play any other generic Dark States starter, but I think like this is the best one because it's aesthetically pleasing and matching as well because it's Silver Thorn, it's Luquier, so why not keep everything in Pale Moon, right? So that's one thing for sure. For the grade 1, we have Silver Thorn Assistant Irina. So Irina's skill is that when this unit is robbed by a Pale Moon, you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose one card from among them, move it into your soul, and then you shuffle your deck. And then the second second skill is that when this unit is placed on rearguard, if you have a Luquier Vanguard, you may soul charge one, right? So this is pretty good because when Lydian writes her, which is the grade 2, you can look top 7 and probably shove in a lot of like good targets as well, good amount of targets. So probably you want to prioritize shoving in your OG Luquier, you want to shove in like your Order, you want to shove in the grade 2 PR for Luquier as well, which is good because there's plenty of targets for you to look for and shove it in the deck as well. And not to mention that if you can call it out with Luquier skill, you can technically soul charge one in order for you to increase like the amount of like core targets, which is nice. So that's Irina for the time being. So for the grade 2, we have a Silver Thorn Marionette Lilian. So Lilian's skill is that when this unit is rolled by a grade 3 Pale Moon, you soul charge one and choose one card from your soul and move it into your hand. And the second skill is that when this unit is placed on the rearguard circle or put on the guardian circle, if you have a Luquier Vanguard, during this turn, this unit plus 5k power and 5k shield, which is great because if you soul charge anything very important like your PGs or your triggers or whatsoever, or your Regalis pieces or whatsoever, you can just bounce that thing. You can just bounce the card that you soul charge like the PGs into your hand, or you like bounce the trigger into your hand, which is good so that you have enough defenses. And not to mention that like she's also a 15k attacker and a 10k interceptor, like 10k shield or whatsoever, which is nice because like if you call her out, you can technically intercept with her, and then you can swing for very good magic number 2 at 15 going first, so which is kind of nice. So yeah, playing Lydian as well. I've seen a lot of Copium, and this is just a disclaimer. I mean, like this is like a PSA or something like that. Please do not. I've seen people build a very funny Cope Luquier right line, which is they play the Hollow Raptor and Vacant Fang, which is the Blank Mire right line. Because they want to like shove in as much cards in the soul by revealing the top 3s or whatsoever and moving into the soul. Theoretically, you can do that, but if all of them are triggers, you are handicapping yourself. So please do not do that, and you cannot shuffle after that, right? Part of the reason why that you can play this right line is because like Irina can help you shuffle. The Hollow Raptor and Vacant Fang does not, so you have to bear that in mind. Even though that you can draw, this helps you kind of like filter around a little bit, right? So please do not play the Blank Mire right line. I've seen people done it. I don't know why you guys do that, but okay, right? So that's one thing for sure. So that's the grade 2, that's the whole grade 0 and 2 for now. Moving on to the grade 3, which is the ace of the deck itself, Silver Thorn Dragon Empress Venus Luquier. So the first skill is that continuous Vanguard skill during your turn. If your soul has the OG Luquier, she gets 5k, but if your opponent is grade 3 or greater, instead of having herself plus 5k, all of your front row units plus 5k instead, which is good because on your first grade 3 turn, she's a 18k attacker already, and like if you go second or whatsoever, if like your opponent is grade 3 or greater, it's like front row plus 5k, which is a huge power buff to the front row, which is actually pretty good. And the second skill is that act Vanguard once per turn, energy plus 3, choose one card from your hand to your soul, and from your soul you can choose different grades, which is grade 3 or less, and call it any number of them and call it to the rearguard circle. And last but not least, the auto skill is that when this unit attacks, you put 2 rearguards into your soul, draw 1, and during this battle, this unit plus 5k. And if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit plus 1 crit. So not only she's able to swing for like 23k max, she can also like swing for 23k double crit, right? So technically speaking, like she's pretty good if you went second because of the crit pressure and yada, and whatnot. But the most interesting part about this deck is this card is that like she utilizes energy plus 3, which is a little bit sad since you cannot play her in premium. I mean, which is okay. Like she's also pretty good because she doesn't really requires you to soul blast, she doesn't require you to counter blast or whatsoever. So theoretically, this deck doesn't really eat a lot of counter blast, so you're good with that, right? So which is quite nice. But not to mention that the cost of like putting one card into your soul it's pretty good because you may be putting in like your rising dragons, you probably put in your jugglers inside, so in order for you to like call maximum 4 of different grades, so like you call 3 2 1 0, which is nice, so which means that it's easier for you to proc like rising dragon skill to plus 20k already, so which is pretty nice. And not to mention that like she can help you to reach like good magic amount of like magic numbers thanks to your some of the rear guards as well, so which is good. Yeah, so that's nice. And she also helps you to draw, which is like the OG Luquier, because the OG Luquier requires you to like shove in 2 rear guards at the end of the turn in order for you to draw one. This does it during the battle phase, so which is quite good. And so yes, that's about the red line. So that's the whole red line for now. Moving on to the main deck, we have the tree of the the Venus Luquier Persona Right. So Persona Right is really important because if you Persona roll, that's like front row plus a 10k, so which means that essentially speaking front row plus 15k, which means that Venus Luquier can swing for 28k, and when she attacks, she can go for 33k double crit, which is good, right? So it's a good amount of magic numbers, and with a crit pressure too, so that's nice. Play 3, do not play anything else less than that. For the next grade 3 I'm playing is the new grade 3 in this support this time round, which is the Showered Applause Dragon. Now, Showered Applause Dragon is a double rare, is a grade 3 dragon, so the skill is that continuous. If your Vanguard has only Pale Moon in its clan, this card can be regarded as a Pale Moon, which is very important because you can combo off and you can use it with like the Luquier order, which requires you to call a Pale Moon from the soul, so you can technically call Showered Applause Dragon out for your 4th attack, or so which is pretty nice. And the second skill is that when this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, if your Vanguard clan has Pale Moon, you can choose one card from your drop zone and move it into your soul, which is good. And then the third one is the continuous rearguard circle during this turn. If any of your rearguards are called from the soul during this turn, this unit plus 5k, and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit plus 10k, so which is good. So in your first grade 3 turn, he can swing for 23. In like Persona turn, you can swing for like 28. I think you can swing for 28 at like 23, 28. Yeah, you can swing for 28, which is good, which is a good magic number as well. And not to mention that the skill is the first skill. Technically, you can play this. Like theoretically speaking, you can play this in premium. You can also play this in Hari, especially when Hari is going to come out in Strike Attack set very soon. So I think you can play this card. So get this card as soon as possible before it pumps up. I don't know. I mean, like I don't know. I don't know what the Hari Strike Deck set will do, but since this can be considered as a Pale Moon card, why not, right? Which is great. But the second skill is very important because like you can bounce, not bounce per se, you can technically just put any of the cards in your drop zone and move it to your soul, which means that if you discarded like OG Luquier for riding, you can just put the OG Luquier, put it into your soul, and then you can instantly get the front row 5k, which is good. Or maybe it's like important key pieces in this deck, in the deck that requires you to like call out or something like that, which is nice. So Showered Applause Dragon, you can play 3. I've seen people play 2. I think this is it's fine because since you are playing the promo like the promo grade 2 Toge, like Toge, or whatsoever, how do you pronounce the name or whatsoever, which allows you to search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 and move into your soul, which is fine. So technically speaking, you can run 2, but I run 3 is because like I just don't. It's kind of like make things much more faster and easier for me to like put things in and out from the soul and yada yada, from the drop to soul and whatnot, right? So I think at best you can play 2, at maximum you can play 3, but you're never gonna play 4 because interesting. I mean, I won't say like interesting. I think that's the most important thing to keep note in this deck is that your defenses are pretty low because of amount of like grade 3s in this deck. So this deck has already have about like close to 10 or 11 grade 3s, so you have to be mindful of like your ratios and whatnot, right? This is for your defenses and yada and whatnot. So that's about it. So moving to the next grade 3, as I've mentioned earlier, you have to play 3 of the Luquier order. So this is very important. I think this is the one of the key pieces for you to get into your Luquier to have 4 attacks. So the skill is that like you can play this in the soul and only with Luquier in its name, you by paying counter +1. So you can technically play this card from your hand or in your soul as well, which is pretty great. So the skill is that you choose one of your rearguards, and during this turn, when your Vanguard attacks, you put the rearguard chosen rearguard into your soul, and from your soul you call up to one Pale Moon with the same grade or less grade as your Vanguard, and call it to and call it the rearguard circle, right? Which is pretty good. Because this essentially allows Luquier to have like a 4 attack. If you don't have the 4 attack, it's really difficult for you to like finish games or like hit for high numbers. I think 3 is enough. You won't play 4 because, like as mentioned earlier, Showered Applause Dragon can technically fetch like this card back into the soul, which means that it's easier for you to play from the soul as well, without sacrificing an order card in your hand. So that's, I mean, like if you have this card in your hand, you might as well just play it from the soul as well, right? So which is good because you can just use the other grade 3 order for next turn, or you can just use it as a discard fodder next time, because you can use Showered Applause Dragon to bounce it back to the soul later, right? Move it into the soul later. So that's about it. So that's the whole grade 3 whole grade 3s for not the whole grade 3s. So the next thing we'll be looking at is the OG Luquier. I'm not gonna go through the skill because like it's not really relevant anymore. The most important thing is that like as long as you can manage to put her into the soul as early as possible, you're already set for like the whole front row 5k, which is good. So as you can see, in the main deck I have like about like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 grade 3. So that's pointing pointing back to what I said earlier about like defenses. So you can notice like there's a lot of like 5k shields or 10k shields gone, so you have to be very mindful of your ratios. But I think I'm very happy with satisfied with the ratios for now. Of course, obviously you can tweak your ratios. So that's about it for the grade 3s. Now moving on to the grade 2s, Silver Thorn Rising Dragon. I cannot stress how important this card is because this is essentially your key piece in this deck. So you cannot play less than 4. This is the very important staple card in Luquier. Primarily because that Rising Dragon is like your major big ass bit stick for you to swing for like 30k, 40k, 50k whatsoever, right? So the skill is that and it's also a very good draw engine, right? Because of the skill, the first skill, if I can focus this properly thanks to my camera. Okay, so the first skill is that when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you can choose one card from your hand and move into your soul, and you get to draw one, which is good. It's a very good draw engine. And the second skill is that continuous rearguard skill during this turn. If you have a Luquier Vanguard, if you call 2 or more cards from your soul during this turn plus 10k, if you call 4 or more, this unit gets another additional 10k, which is great because like on early grade 3 turn, if you can manage to call 4 at the same time, he can swing for 30 numbers, which 30k, which is very good against like a 10k. So very, very nice, very good. Do not play less than 4, right? So I'm just gonna tell you that. Alright, so next thing with the grade 2s, we have Steam Performer Tuge or Tauge, not to be confused with the Tauges you put in your char kway teows. Her skill is pretty cool as well, because the thing is that when this card is moving into your soul by one of your card's abilities, if you have a Vanguard with only Pale Moon in its clan, you can bind herself, search your deck or your drop zone for up to 1 grade 3 card and move it into your soul, and if you search your deck, you shuffle your deck. So which is important because like Tauge is like one of your key pieces to rely on in order for you to search for the OG Luquier to move into your soul, provided like if she is like, say if you call Rising Dragon, you move herself into the soul, then you can just proc it and then search for the grade 3s. Like either you look for the you can look for the OG Luquier, you can look for the order to play inside later, or you can play look for Showered Applause Dragon, so which is cool. So technically speaking, you have to play 4 in order for you to like maximize your search and whatnot, right? So which is great as well. And also we're moving on to the next grade 2. Next grade 2 we'll be playing is technically this card called which is the new Regalis piece, which is Protection Twin Cast. So the Twin Cast is like one of the new Regalis piece in set 3, and the skill is that when choose one of your units that is being attacked, and during this battle this unit plus 10k. And the second skill is that like continuous, this unit's auto ability can be resolved even if you play another Regalis piece during this turn. The skill is that you can activate this in your drop zone. The auto ability is that you activate this card in drop zone, you remove itself and choose one of your units that is being attacked, and for plus 5k for every grade of your Vanguard until the end of the battle. So essentially speaking, let's say for example, if Luquier is being attacked, you can just remove it from the drop zone and essentially plus 15k because your Vanguard is grade 3. Of course, if your Vanguard is like grade 4, you can plus 20k. If your Vanguard is grade 4 Gira, this unit plus 50, Vortex, you can go for 55k, right? So which is amazing. Primarily because since I've mentioned earlier, like I said, I try to stress this very important since you have a ratios of a lot of grade 3s. Defenses can you tend to lag sometimes in defenses, so I think like twin cast is very important as well because of you trying to be more defensive at times. So this is like your more defensive options as well. Of course, obviously you can play the cat, the Dark State's cat, which allows you to counter charge and also like having a 20k shield, which is good. Or you can play the bracing angel ladder because like against decks that have very bad matchups, so you know certain matchups which are horrible against Luquier, like Seraph, Sojo Doji, which sucks your rear guards, binds your souls, or bind the rear guards, or like suck your soul dry. You can technically play Angel Ladder, or you can play like any other Regalis piece, which is important. But I felt like for defensive purposes, I think Twin Cast is the better option for me. Moving on to the great ones, for now, we have 3 PGs and 1 Elementaria Sanctitude. I think this is self-explanatory. Of course, you know, if you the order is because like if the opponent forces you to have like guard with 2 or more, you can just do a blitz order and it's fine. The PG is because like if you can do if your hand has 1 or less, you don't have to discard anything. This one is the triple drive, anti-triple drive one, so be careful, don't play the new Elementaria, I mean like the new Elementaria unless you're fighting against strike decks, right? But then again, it doesn't really make a difference because this is the much more important Elementaria Sanctitude. So 4 PG, like 3 PGs, 1 Elementaria Sanctitude, I think that's self-explanatory. The next great ones I'll be playing is 4 color. So 4 color is the new set for generic, Dark Stage generic for set 3 this time round. So her skill is pretty nice. So the skill is that when this unit is placed on the rearguard circle from your hand, you get to energy charge 1. And the second skill is that auto rearguard skill at the end of the battle that she boosted. If you have energy blasted 3 or more at the same time with your card's ability, you can retire herself and get to draw 1. So which is good, not because you can increase your draw power because the draw engine, you have to increase your draws. So for color is the right way to go. So play 4 definitely because it's going to be very important for you to keep on drawing as much as possible, and not to mention that you can always if you run out of 4 colors or something like that, you can always call up with Shower the Frost Dragon and move it in, and then you can use Luquier's skill to call it back out, which is nice, right? I think you can play 3. I think you can use the extra slot for somewhere else, but preferably I would play 4 because like I can energy charge. And like the more I energy charge, especially if I went second, I usually find myself at 7 energy, 8 energy, or 10, even 10 energy. If I call 2 of these, 2 of her, which means that I can use Luquier's skill to energy plus 3 and just call 4 rearguards, and then just use the rest of the energy to just like draw 1 as well. So not to mention that like if you energy plus 7 and draw 1, she procs, so which is important and very important thing to note as well. Next, the next great one is Jovial Juggler. So Jovial Juggler is also another staple card in Luquier because her first skill is that in continuous in the soul, when this unit will be chosen by a grade for the ability to call it out by different grades, you may regard this as a grade 0. So essentially, speaking, let's say that you use Luquier's skill to call 3, you can consider one of these as a grade 1, and then you can consider this one to a grade 0, which is good. But the better reason why this card is such a staple card is, I would say that I play for, is because her second skill is that when this unit is placed on like other rearguard circle, when this unit is called by an act ability of your Vanguard, you choose one of your other rearguards and move it into your soul, and then you choose one card from your soul and call it out. And then at the end of the battle, the chosen rearguard has to move into the soul as well. So essentially speaking, let's say for example you don't have much targets to call in the worst case scenario, you can call this one out. You can let's say for example you can call 2 out, you can call 3 out for the moment. and then you can use like the juggler skill to move in, and then you can proc. You can just call another out, and if you have a rising dragon, that essentially is a instant 20k. So which is good. Juggler is a definitely 4-off, and I really love her art. Her art is really amazing as well, so she's pretty cute. So yeah, definitely 4-off because it's a much more staple card for you to call out different grades, because she can be considered as 2 grades at the same time. So if you have 2 of it in the soul, you can call it as a grade 0, grade 1, as I've mentioned earlier. So that's about it. The next grade 1 I'll be playing is technically Breathing Dragon, Silver Thorn Breathing Dragon. The skill is that when this unit is called to the back row rearguard circle, by the Vanguard's by Luquier's ability, you soul blast 1, you choose one of your Vanguards, and the Vanguard skill gets all of your front row rearguards plus 5k. So which is pretty good, is because technically speaking, you have enough soul to spare in order to pump your front row rearguards plus 5k, which is pretty good, which means that you can hit for much more bigger numbers as well. Granted, you don't really need to play a lot of like Breathing Dragon, so as long, and I don't think this card is like super important since you already hit for very high numbers like 51k, 53k, and etc. Right? I think you if like say you're fighting opponents that can have like that has like a lot of hand size, I think you can disturb their hand size by like calling this one, and all the buff like your front row rearguards plus another 5k, not to mention with Venus Luquier's 5k. So I think this is like pretty important as well, so I just technically play 2. Okay, so moving on to my triggers, 8 crits. I think this is really self-explanatory. No crit, no pressure. I wouldn't play the effect crits. I think the reason why is that if you can't afford it, then don't play it. But then again, you really don't need to shove anything into the soul as well, since Juggler does the job for you of calling a grade 0. And this deck, unless you're fighting decks that can disturb your soul, such as Seraph, your soul will have plenty of targets in order for you to like call out whatever you need. So I don't have to worry about playing not playing effect crits. So to essentially the next trigger I'm playing is like technically 3 draw triggers, so I will not be playing fronts because I realized that like playing fronts in this deck is absolutely horrible because you don't have much draw engine and draw power. Of course, in exchange for a 10k shield, in exchange for a 20k shield, you have like much more chances of you like drawing into your key pieces as soon as possible. So draws are like very nice. So play 3, and also I play the 4 heals. Of course, you have to play 4 heals unless you want to be ballsy and not play heals at all. 4 heals, but one of them can be an anti-restand and anti-crit, depending on your situation, depending on what your preferences is. In this deck, I can play 1 anti-restand and 1 anti-crit, so I think that's about it. Last but not least, we have the over trigger here. So the over trigger, I play the blue OT. Definitely I'm not gonna play the Dark States OT since Venus Luquier has already have another additional critical, which is nice already. But she doesn't restand, so it doesn't matter if you if you play the Dark States OT. I don't think it's relevant, and it doesn't really matter. There's much more better alternatives and much more better options, so that's why I play the blue OT, which allows me to, if I drive check it, I can choose one of my units plus 1 crit, and then I can choose 1 card from my drop zone and add it back to your hand, so it can be like any PGs or any other key cards, right? So for next turn's setup or for defenses, right? So which is good. So I technically can play the blue OT, but if you want to play the red OT, if you want to play the grey OT, by all means go ahead, right? So that's one thing for sure. Next thing I will be talking about like alternatives as well. So alternatives, I've seen different builds and some different builds. Excuse me for a bit. Some different builds does do different things. So for this time round, I'm gonna like try to recommend you like 4 different cards. So let's go with probably the most, I would say, like I won't call it copium, but it's like a very tech card. It's the one of the Blitz order called Walk the Dark, which is also in set 3, which allows you to give your Vanguard a 15k power. It is a Blitz order, and you can play this card in the soul as well by energy blasting 3, right? So if you went second, if you find yourself have a lot of energy to spare, for defensive purposes, you can just play this card and as a, your energy plus 3, you give your Vanguard plus 15k until the end of battle. And the best part is that if this card is in the soul, you can bot deck it later, which is quite nice. So I think it's okay, but I think I wouldn't really want to play that. I don't think it's really important. But the second thing is that I've seen people play is like Bubetsu as well. So Bubetsu is this kind of allows you to do your technically 5 attacks. So theoretically speaking, of course, you can do 5 attacks, and the reason being is that Bubetsu's skill is that once per turn on the rearguard circle, when your other rearguards is moving into your soul by your card's ability, you counter blast one, choose one card from your hand and call it to an empty rearguard circle, and if your soul has 10 or more cards, you get to draw one, which is nice. Not only it is a good draw engine, but it also allows you to have your 5th attacker. Now, then again, like I mentioned earlier, Luquier doesn't really use a lot of counter blast. So you can use this counter blast, counter blast for Bubetsu as well. But also bear in mind that if you do this like a lot of times consistently, you will find yourself running out of counter blast very fast. So in order to balance it out, in order for you to recover your resources of your counter blast, I recommend you to play alongside with Bubetsu is this grade 3 common, which is called Outward Acrobat Urselje. I think that's her name. The skill is that when this unit is called to the rearguard circle with with Luquier's ability, you soul blast one and then you get to counter charge one. So the counter charging can be very important because you can use the for Bubetsu to like spam to like counter blast one and call another attack, which is good and which is nice. So if you really want to play like a 5 attack build, I think you are more than welcome to, but of course you have to adjust your ratios at the same time, because maybe like I said, probably you don't play Breathing Dragon, you can play Bubetsu, you can probably maximum play 3, and then you can, I think you can probably 2 Urselje, because like since Taugate allows you to search your deck for up to 1 grade 2, 1 grade 3, you can just search your deck for herself and for her, and then move it into your soul, and then you can use Luquier's skill to call it out whatsoever, right? So which is good. Soul blast one and then counter charge one, then you can use this for 5 attack, which is nice. So this is like balancing off with each other if you want to go for the 5 attack build, right? So that's one alternative that I can suggest to you. So the next one I'll be suggesting is like technically the new double rare for this set as well, which is like Mary what's her name? Mary Ringmaster or Mary Wonder Master, Mary Wonder Master or whatsoever. Avriel, okay. So Avriel's skill is that her first skill is very nice. So when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you may choose to soul charge one. So if you don't want to soul charge, it's fine. But the second skill is that it's like once per turn, as long as there's a rearguard that is called in front of her, the same column as this unit plus 5k, which means that she's a very good like a 13k booster and whatnot, right? But then again, some people, I've seen some deck lists actually play this card is because like they want to soul charge like some other key cards and have a very good 13k booster. It's nice, but then again, I wouldn't be playing this because I think there's much more better options. But then again, there's some arguments that can be made is that if you don't want to sacrifice your soul, if you don't want to soul blast anything for like the front row 5k, I think this one can be a very good alternative as well. So I think that's about it. I think that's all the alternatives for the time being. Let's talk about the pros and cons of this deck, right? Where do I think I will place Luquier is that I will place Luquier at tier 2. So technically speaking, she's not super strong, although like she can, one of the best parts of Luquier is that she can hit for big magic numbers early game and late game, which is good. But then again, like she is prone to she will have problems when she fights against like control decks like Gandiva, Seraph, Blankmire, or yada yada etc. That kind of like disturbs the rearguards or disturbs the soul. So let's say for example, if Rising Dragon is on the field, then it's a bye-bye most of the time. But if it's not bind, as long as they retire into the drop zone, I think that's not a problem for me most of the time, because I can call Shower Applause Dragon and move the whatever key cards that is on the field and move it back to the soul, which is pretty good. Not to mention that like this deck can kind of have like a good amount of filtering thanks to 2G and also like the right line, which is nice. You get to shuffle your deck once in a while, so you can technically do a lot of filtering too. And not to mention that since Luquier, that whole deck can technically is a one huge toolbox as well, since every card combos off with each other. You can do like a chain 1, chain 2, chain 3 thingy. Let's say if you call Rising Dragon, I can move it into the soul, and then you can chain 2 and you just bind this one and then search your deck for up to 1 grade 3. And if you call it with Venus Luquier, you can call the grade 3, you can just search your deck, you can just choose let's say if you discard this order, you can move it into your soul, which means that you can combo this. The whole deck kind of combos off with each other, long story short, right? Which is nice. And not to mention that you can do 4 to 5 attacks depending on what your build is, but minimum you can minimum is 3, of course, if you cannot get to play this order this whole turn, it's going to be like 3, but then even with 3 attacks, you can already swing for very good high numbers as well. But of course, you have to prioritize doing like multi-attacks as well, and because your numbers are already hitting for big enough, it's already quite nice, it's already secured. So of course the downside to it is that you have very less draw power, so that's why I say that like you have to play draws, you have to play for colors, because like it allows you to draw 1 at the end of the battle, and also like draw into your key pieces as much as possible, as fast as possible, and not to mention that Luquier, since Luquier is a deck that kind of relies on your opponent having like grade 3s and whatnot, like to maximize her effect. At most times you would be preferably get rushed easily if you go, I think like if you go first sometimes, so you have to be very careful of that. And because like my shields, I have like 11 grade 3s in the main deck, so which means like shield sometimes can be a very iffy thing to have, because if you don't have enough to guard yourself, you're probably going to die faster against decks that can rush you, right? So I think that's very important as well to keep note. And also like the whole deck comes at worst situations it can break, okay, and that's how it is supposed to be. And I would say like this deck, you have to think a lot, right? Sometimes whatever is in your hand, whatever is in the drop, the sequencing, I would say like sequencing matters. Whatever you do, like calling your rear guards, which one would you want to proc first is important, because of course if you sequence your patterns, like calling patterns wrongly, it has an effect on your gameplay. It has an effect on that particular turn. I think that is like very self-explanatory lah. I don't think I have to really touch much on that, because like if one wrong move, and probably it would turn your entire strategy upside down for that whole turn. So you have to be very careful, and you have to think fast, and you have to think a lot, depending on the situation at hand. After much playtesting for this past 2 days for the with this deck, I had a lot of fun with it. And from my own personal experience, you are much more better going first, right? Because like sure, you don't get the extra crit pressure, but since you have Rising Dragons or whatsoever, as long as they are there on my first grade 3 turn, you can technically do like a very huge numbers early game, and it's very I can manage to be able to push my opponent to 4 to 5 damage sometimes, because like their hands are terrible, and because like if I'm swinging like 30k to a 10k, it's pretty much set, because you have to force I really have to force my opponent to guard with like 30k shield or 25k shield in order for them to defend themselves. So I think that's like very fun to like this whole deck in general. I felt like it's like one of my favorite decks to play around lately. So I would probably play this. I would rate this deck as a tier 2. It's not going to be like a tier 1. It's not going to be like tier 1.5. I mean, in the best case scenario, it can be a 1.5, but it's like on the lower end. But at best, like she's a tier 2. But I think she's like one of the best tier 2s out there to play with, next to Archive and Sacrifice Glass. I mean, like Sacrifice Glass probably is a 2.5, but I mean like it's a very funny deck, at the very least. So that's about it. I think that's I'm gonna conclude the deck profile over here. So please, if you have any other comments, if you have any other things that you want to share based on my build, or what's your own personal experience playing this deck, please do comment down in the comment section down below. And of course, I will see you guys on the next video. This has been Professor 095 signing out. Good night, bye bye, see ya.